everybody, Sonia Rollins for Back Talk. I am excited to be with you today with Susan Kadilak. Susan is a powerhouse, quite frankly, Susan. So I'm excited to be telling everybody about everything you do. But broker of Kadilak Realty, a licensed contractor, Kadilak Homes. I mean, the resume is long, so I don't know that 28 minutes is going to do it for us today, but we're going to give it a run. Thank you for being here.
I get bored very easily. Thank you for having me.
Listen, I'm not kidding when I say you're a powerhouse. I mean, I love when I talk about when people are discussing you and I kind of talk about all the things you've done. It really is impressive. I don't want to get into in a man's world because everybody has rights, but it's very impressive when you walk into a room, you design and build, and you really bring people's, for lack of a better term and without sounding corny, dreams to fruition, right? So let's start with your background. Talk about what brought you into contracting.
Sure, yeah. So as you said, it's very much a man's world, and it's very unusual to have, you know, a female contractor. So, and my family background is my family came from Italy, you know, all immigrants, all contractors, right? So I'm, you know, here I am, 12 years old. My dad's from Italy, and he's like, Susan, write the estimates. Susan, go measure the job. Susan, go talk to the customer. So I just kind of grew up around construction in real estate, and I just kind of naturally was already in it. I already knew it. I had grown up around it. So I built my first house when I was 23, got my real estate license when I was 20. So I just kind of jumped right into that world.
It became your thing.
It became my thing, yeah.
Right. And how, so you've been doing it how long? When you were 20, you started building, but how long has Kadilak Homes been around, or, you know, how long have you been doing that component of it, the design build portion?
The design, so we have always done design build. To be honest with you, it's the design build part is kind of almost accidental because I have always done design build, but I never really had a word for it until we did. We did a project in Reading, and I never ask anyone why they hire us. I don't ask any questions, but you know my husband Paul, he just talks to everyone, and he asked the client, he said, you know, why did you hire us? Because he knew that they had interviewed other contractors, and they said, we could tell by talking to you that you weren't just going to build what was on the plan. And I said, who builds what's on the plan? Why would you? I mean, the plan is a guide, and then once I have my frame, I kind of, you know, do my thing and figure out kind of what the house needs. So, you know, from that point, it was like, okay, what we're really doing is design build. And then we started putting our projects out there. And then we also started around the same time doing flipping homes on spec. So with that, I was able to do projects with no client where I could just kind of do what I wanted and put things out there. So, you know, luckily it was received well, and people would see different things that we did, and they would call us and say, hey, can you do something similar like that for us?
So talk about that a little bit, because I love that you said that. For people who don't know Kadilak Homes, which is rare, but let's for people who aren't watching, who haven't seen one of your projects, there are two things that you all focus on. You build and then sell, and then you build to suit. You basically do renovations, so you're not just a new construction thing. You can also go in and outfit somebody's home, change it for them.
Yes, yep. So actually the majority of our projects are renovations. We're probably about 75% custom renovations and about 25% builds, because in a lot of cases a homeowner might come to us and say, we want to do something, but we don't know what to do. And in that case, we'll assess, does a renovation make sense? Does a rebuild make sense? You know, what kind of makes sense for that client situation?
So while we're on that piece, Susan, when does a client call you? When they know what they want to spend, or when they know what they want, or a melding of the two? Like when you say to somebody, it's time for you to bring in the contractor, when does that happen for you?
So I personally like before they have plans, but when they have an idea of what they want, they may have an idea of budget, but they may not know exactly what it costs. And the reason I like to come in at that point is because you really have more time to think it through. We've had some people who have called at the point where they've already had plans drawn, and they have gone through the process of drawing plans, which can be months and months and months. And it can
be costly.
Right, and very expensive.
Yeah.
And then they have these plans that they love, and then the contractors come in and crush their dreams and say, well, I know you thought it was going to cost this much, but actually it's double. So to really have a better realistic idea of this is where the budget should be for the type of project. That way you can draw what you can build, because when people are at that point where they have already drawn something beyond their budget, they either have to increase the budget or go back and redraw, which is another, a whole nother process. So I like to come in as early as possible. We have a client right now that we just started designing for, and we first met them 2 years ago. And it was just that preliminary conversation. Here are all the things we want. This is what our house looks like. This is what we're thinking of for budget. And just in that conversation, I was able to say, you have two options. One, we can scale the project down to your budget, and here's what that looks like. Or if you want this full, renovation that we're talking about, then we would recommend that you have a budget of this much. So this particular client waited, and then they reached out to us and they said, hey, we increased our budget, we saved more money because we really want to do this big renovation. And that gives people the time to plan for it without spending a bunch of money on plans that they can't build.
Right. So let's talk about your eye versus the consumer's eye, right? Because your ability to stage and know colors and know different patterns. Obviously we're both in real estate, so I've always been impressed that when we walk into your new constructions or something that you've done, it almost like has an extra flair to it that some of the other properties don't. That's the truth. So the beautiful part of that is, does the client then say, I'm going to give you like carte blanche to do some of that, Susan, or do they pick some of those? Do you ask them colors and then they you meld into that? How does that work for you?
So it very much depends on the client. We have had many clients who have come in and said, Susan, this is your problem. You figure it out.
Right.
This is what I want.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to the tile store. I don't want to talk. I had a client recently, we were talking about, door hardware, and they looked at me and they go, you're not going to make us pick that, are you? They were like, we want nothing to do with that. And I was like, no problem, I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
But other clients want to be involved in every step. So every client is different. And I start with what I call therapy sessions. So we'll sit down, we'll look at different styles. And I never ask, Sonia, what style do you like? Because you may say something and have something in mind that's different than what I may have in mind. So I always do it visually. We'll go through pictures and I'll say, hey, do you like this? Do you like this? And even from that kind of meeting, I can get a good sense of what their design style is. Because at the end of the day, I can do a design, but it has to fit the client. Right?
Yes.
If we're doing a custom design, I can do 20 different things, but I want it to be one that works for them and that they feel is a style that they connect with. So even if they don't want to pick every single piece and every single little thing that goes in, at the very minimum, I want to get an idea of what appeals to that client, and also what do they need, right? When you're doing a renovation, I always ask, what's in your basement that you have to go down and get that really you want on the main floor?
Right. And those are questions maybe they don't think about while they're talking to you, right? Yeah.
I look on the counters. What's on the counters? Do you use that every day? Do we need to find a spot for that? Do you want that to live on the counter? Do we want to create a spot for it? How do you live every day, right? Because those are the things that are really, when the renovation is done, that is going to make the house feel like theirs and feel easier for them.
Yeah.
Right. So we're always thinking about those little things of not where. I never ask what do you want this to look like? Where do you want your fridge? I'm asking functionally, how do you use this house?
Yeah. And speaking of that, what do you think is what has changed over the years? I mean, we know that houses have gotten much larger than they used to be. New constructions have gotten much larger. Obviously some of that is price point. I always try to explain to people the land has gotten much more expensive, right? And it's much more expensive to build a house than it used to be. I think sometimes people see the final number and they envision something different, but there's a lot going on in the build out. But what do you find is the big punch points for people when they're buying a house or when they're asking you to build it?
The big things, I would say top requests are pantries. People want pantries because they want to be able to keep their kitchen clean. So even if it's even just a small pantry space, again, going back to function, what are the things that you use every day that you don't want to leave out in the open?
Yes.
Mudrooms, right? Because sometimes they'll go into a house and there's a pile of shoes and a pile of coats because they have nowhere to put it.
Exactly.
So let's address that, because when you walk into your house and the first thing you see is a mess, you don't realize it, but like it stresses you out.
Yeah.
Right? So it kind of like, and it's just there. And it's like, if we can get rid of those little annoying things.
Yeah, behind pretty doors.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. Let's put that away.
Yeah.
So mudrooms are, that when I first started were not really a big thing. Those have become a big thing. I love pantries, and I like to do as big of a pantry as I can, depending on the house, and really just function. And people want to, after they do a renovation, to show it off to their friends and say this is, and be happy with the end product. Because I think that's the other scary part about construction when you start is it going to come out the way I hope? Is it going to, what is the end result going to be? Because it's so long and there's so much involved and you're spending so much money and you're displaced and there are people in your house that you don't want there. And even though you want the work done, it's still annoying.
Yeah. Right.
And I always tell clients, I'm like, look, we do this all the time. I'm having painting done at my house right now. I love my painter. I want this painting done. But it's just...
Right, you want him to go.
Right, I want him to go.
You love him, but you don't want him there.
But I'm like, right. So I'm like, I feel this way, and we're just doing a little bit of painting, and I'm, so just imagine the displacement of, having people in your house, for months. So, so it can be very stressful, but, we haven't had anyone who has, said, oh,
I wish I never did this.
Right. They always say I would do it again.
Yes. Right, to get to the end result.
Right.
All right, so speaking of kitchens and pantries and things that people love, Chamber Spotlight this month is going to Synergy Appliances, who have recently opened in Burlington, and they have a great showroom. So we're going to go over to Chamber Spotlight, take a look at Synergy, and we'll be right back. Hi everybody, Sonia Rollins for Back Talk. Our Chamber Spotlight today takes us to all things appliances. We are at Synergy Home Appliance doing great things for the community, servicing all different types of every appliance you've ever wanted to see. We're looking forward to talking to Ken and hearing more details. All right, we are here with Ken Gillis, who is the president of Synergy. Ken, thank you so much for having us into your showroom.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
And I've been in the business 35 years, and this has been my dream to open, and I felt Burlington was the absolute only spot that I could open up a new store.
You are a showroom that's open to the public.
Correct.
It's very interesting because a new home gets built and the appliances matter, right? So
Absolutely.
Talk about that a little bit, how you've seen appliances change over the years and what they do for a kitchen.
When it comes to whether you're remodeling or building, we have it all here. As you take a look around the showroom, fully integrated appliances. The kitchen is one of the only spots that when you remodel it or construct a new kitchen, it adds value to the property. So kitchen appliances, it's the heart of the kitchen. It's where the family's time is all spent and where you make happy family memories. So the appliances play a key role in that, to really have you enjoy that family time within the kitchen.
And honestly, Ken, when you say appliances, there is such a wide variety of appliances and so many different price points. So speak to that a little bit, that what Synergy does and how anybody who's buying anything could really come into the show.
So whether you're building your dream home or remodeling, we have everything for that customer. And we also just have, if you're just buying your very first washer and dryer or your very first dishwasher. So at Synergy, we cover all price points, all budgets.
You're here to kind of not only show them all the different things there are, but to educate them on which works best for them.
We are true salespeople here, where we're going to listen. By listening, a lot of stores you go to, they're just going to want to sell you what they want to sell you. We want to listen, and we want to identify and help you and guide you into what you need to purchase for your home.
Do you see that stainless steel is kind of like, that's the way people are going? You talked a little bit about cabinet face before. Tell me what you see today's buyer focusing on.
I'm going to say 90% of our customers are stainless steel.
Yes.
When it gets into some of the refrigeration, especially on the built-in refrigeration, the majority of that customer has been going with the cabinet fronts, fully integrated, hidden.
Ken, let's talk about gas versus induction for a minute, because I think it's a hot topic. It's a hot topic for a number of reasons, because obviously there's some rules that are starting to to alter if people can have natural gas. Talk to the consumer about the difference between them. Is induction, in fact, just as good? You know, should people be worried that gas stoves will eventually be going by the wayside? What's your take on that?
So there is a trend in certain communities where, you know, new constructions and new building where no more fossil fuels.
Yes.
So that is going that direction, and the addition of that's going to continue. When it comes to gas ranges, I've been in the business 35 years, so been selling a lot of gas ranges. But when it comes down to the cooking aspect of it, a gas range is around 52% efficient. That means 48% of the heat and the flame are going into your kitchen. Yeah. Regular electric is around 62% efficient. Induction cooking, which we happen to have right here, induction cooking is over 92% efficient because the pan becomes the heat source. It actually boils faster. The response time from high to low, to, you know, from a full rolling boil to just a gentle simmer is instant. Back to a rolling boil within 5 seconds. So the response time is just incredible. Keeping it clean 10 years later, it could look nice.
And let's talk washers too. If someone comes in and says, look, I want a washer and dryer that's going to last me, I mean, what do you do?
In this store here, 90% of our customers want front load. That's just the community around us. But we're selling more definitely front loads than top loads, and it's probably 9 out of 10 on the front load. You don't have to bend down and get into the dryer because some of these washing machines are extremely deep.
How about vents now? You have the vents and things. So if someone was coming in, they're building their new home or they're redoing their kitchen or just what they have currently standing has died, they don't need to go to multiple stores. They can come here and cover it from start to finish?
Absolutely, 100%. So ventilation is a completely different animal. And that's one place when you talk about hoods that you need to make sure you identify what they're buying, how they're going to use their cooking product to get them into the correct ventilation.
Because the two matter.
100%.
Yeah.
So EPA.gov website from a few years back, indoor air quality is up to 5 times worse than outdoor. We don't hear that a lot. We know about the outdoor air quality, but now the way we're living, doors are shut, windows are shut, windows are much better, airtight homes.
Everything's very tight.
Everything's so we're trapping contaminants in our home more than ever.
Yes.
So we need to have proper ventilation to get all the contaminants out of your home.
What's the hot thing that people like to put in a new kitchen?
Steam ovens.
Really?
No question. There's no question at all. You know, once again, it depends on the home. Steam oven, steam oven, steam oven. There's almost every luxury, not even just luxury, almost every kitchen that we send out has a steam oven in it. You don't have to use a microwave. You can use that as your reheating tool. Yeah. Obviously, it's going to cook everything and keep everything moist, and it still has a convection system inside, which will brown. So steam ovens, and then built-in coffee systems are really big. Steam ovens, coffee makers, high-speed ovens, that type of technology. We built this for the community. You know, we want to dive feet first into this community and the surrounding communities, but we built this for the community, and we want everyone to come in and enjoy it and make it a really nice shopping experience.
I love that. Welcome to Burlington. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I hope you enjoyed today's Chamber Spotlight as much as I enjoyed being here. I'm sure you can see that no matter what type of appliance you need, this is the showroom you need to be in. Thank you again for Synergy Home Appliance for allowing us to take a look at this spectacular space. For Back Talk, I'm Sonia Rollins. All right, that was good. I love going in and looking at appliances because no matter how many you look at, you're like, oh, I want that one too. Right? And I said it to Ken, and do you find this too, Susan, like the appliances matter in a kitchen, right?
Absolutely.
Make a total difference in what it looks like.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And okay, let's tie this in now because kitchens, appliances, building homes, there's a whole other element to your business, which is Kadilak Realty.
Yep.
You have been in the business of real estate longer than you've been a contractor. Is that right, technically?
Technically, yeah. I mean, I grew up with construction. I've been a licensed realtor for 22 years, and I've had my contractor's license for like 20. Yeah,
impressive. So talk about how they marry a little bit. You know, how real estate, you know, what's the real estate market look like? We could do a whole show on that, but we won't go there. But let's talk about just how real estate and your contracting business marry well for your customers.
Yeah, so it's, you know, so there are a lot of people who maybe say need to do something, but I don't know exactly what to do. So I had someone recently who said, we need to do something. We're either going to sell this house and buy another one, or we're going to renovate this house, or we want to knock this house down and rebuild. So we were able to go through each scenario and say, look, if you sold this house, this is what you would sell it for, and let's look at what that can get you out in the market, right? And as you know, the market is so tough, and they actually end up not liking that option. So
Yeah, exactly, right.
they were like, oh, so if I buy something else, I still have to renovate, which is tough with the market right now. Ultimately, they decided to renovate. But on the construction side, same thing. When people call with a project, because we also have the real estate background, I'm also looking at, are you overspending? Right, so we had a client who wanted to put this huge addition on, and I said, look, not that I want to turn this project down. It was a really big project. I said, but if you do this project, know that you're overspending.
Right.
You won't get this back. So if you invest this money in the house, you're going to have to stay here for a long time in order to recoup it. And the truth is, a lot of times when you renovate or rebuild, you do overspend a little bit because it's custom. Right? You're going to be spending more money on things that you want, but sometimes, when it's multiple additions or putting a second floor in and going back and doing a garage, sometimes those end up costing the same or more than if you were to rebuild. So we're able to look at all those different scenarios, and we have another client who initially came to us that wanted to build. At the time, the numbers didn't quite work. We ended up helping them sell their house in Woburn, buying a house in Wakefield, and then just last year, after they had been in the house for 3 years, we renovated the entire first floor for them.
Right,
so
that's fantastic.
Helping them go through and see, okay, if you buy this house, these are the renovations you can do. This is about how much it will cost. You don't need to do it, tomorrow. You could plan for long term. So for many of our clients, having that cross information and thinking about all the options helps them kind of come to a conclusion and decide, okay, I've looked at maybe buying and selling. And for some people, buying and selling is the right thing to do. They may have an easement, or they may have, for whatever reason, they can't do what they want with the current property, or it may not make sense. So we just kind of go through and say, what are we trying to achieve? What does that look like in this house? What does that look like if you sell? What does that look like if you rebuild? And through that process, we can help them kind of figure out what will work best for them.
Yeah, and just so that I say this to people, because I think it's important for them to know, it's not just if you want to buy this huge house you call Kadilak Homes, right?
Right.
I mean, some people want a really great renovation in a ranch.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
I love those.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Me too. But some people really do want that, so I want to make sure people know this. They're not just calling you, Susan, if they want to build a 6,000 square foot home. They can call you if they want to renovate a small home, or if they want to sell a small home and buy something.
Absolutely. We had a client in Burlington who they had owned their home for a long time. It had a lot of issues. They loved the neighborhood, and we rebuilt a around 2,000 square foot home.
Right.
That's what they wanted.
Right.
You can't go out in the marketplace and buy a 2,000 square foot brand new home because of the way the market is, but it was something that worked for them. And we have clients on the real estate side that maybe they really do need to sell, but they need work done before they sell. So we just had a client, they had an actively leaking roof, so we were able to replace the roof for them before the house went on the market.
Perfect.
So having
that money brings it back. I mean, that's the beauty of you being able to tell them that, right?
Right.
The money comes back to them when they do it.
Right. And same thing with sellers. Some people who are thinking about selling, sometimes we go out 1 or 2 years in advance, and because they want to know, I'm thinking about selling in a few years, what should I do?
Yes.
Should I spend money on the roof? Should I remodel the kitchen? Should I put the central air in?
Yes.
Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. So we're always happy, even if someone is years away, because we've been doing this for a long time, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We're always happy to come in and just help assess what's worth it and what's not.
Speaking of which, you have a team of people. So talk about Kadilak Realty as a team. How many people are working with you? Where's your office? Things like that.
Yep, so our office is on the corner of Mountain Street and Wynn Street. We have 18 real estate agents. We have a great team. We have a full-time admin, full-time marketing, and they're a great group. And we have been building out the team since 2016, so we have a lot of great realtors, so it's not and even on the construction side, we have an amazing team. Obviously, I cannot do all of these things by myself.
Right. But I want to.
I have to sleep like 2 hours a night,
but
other than that, I can do the rest. It's fine. And that's part of what makes it all work too, is having great teams on both sides, having very knowledgeable realtors who, when we have clients and we can pair people up, it's like they can take care of it and take care of the client. And then the same thing on the construction side. You know, we have an amazing group. We've had our guys for a long time, and everyone just works so well together. So I think, you know, having a great team and great people around is, you know, that's part of what makes it all work.
I love that. So I could talk to you all day. We've got a few more minutes left, and I want to make sure I touch on this. You had a very successful run of putting together great social media that, I mean, I can tell you I'm not the only person who gets up in the morning and like, I'll drink my coffee and watch you and Paul and giggle. I love it. But you also have a show that's now available on YouTube. You have new episodes coming out. Tell everybody about that, Renovation Rekindle.
Yep, so we just put 6 new episodes out, and that's on our Kadilak Homes YouTube channel. As you know, Paul's hilarious, and he's great. So,
but you guys work great together. Like it's actually really fun to watch because it's a little of both while you're watching.
Right, because without Paul, I'm just so serious and boring, and he's, you know, you need both of us. So it works. We work really, really well together, and he's, you know, having, you know, the two of us to kind of manage all of this stuff. So he's, you know, he's great. So
did you always want to do that? Do a show? Or
no. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. I mean, I remember years ago when they were saying, you know, every business and, you know, and is going to need video, so you need to really think about whether you want to do it. So I thought about it, and I decided I'm never doing a video. I was like, that's not for me.
Right.
I was like, I'm never doing that. There's no way.
Yeah.
And then I had someone who kind of challenged us, and they were like, you know, because I had hopped on a call with Paul. And when she saw me and Paul together, she said, you two need to put out a video. And I was like, what is it going to be? I was like, I have no idea what we're going to do. I don't want to do a video. But that was kind of,
I love it.
That was kind of how it all started. So then we
really
would
evolved.
film every week, just nonsense. And it so far so good.
But you know what, I'm going to give you, it's nonsense because it's cute, it's fun to watch, but there's really good information in it, so I think people really get something out of them. So you have a social media page, just so people can follow it. I know we'll probably put the Chiron up on it, but and on the Kadilak Homes YouTube site.
Yes.
Am I saying that right?
Yes.
On YouTube is where you have Renovation Rekindle.
Correct.
And there are 6 new episodes out. So people can see renovations of people's homes from start to finish, and you kind of take them through, right?
Yep, and the homeowners are involved in the filming too, which is fun.
Yeah.
So at the very beginning when we started filming with homeowners, they were a little horrified, but now that we have it out there, homeowners are like, are we going to be in the episode? And I'm like, yes, so it's good.
I love that. Yeah. What's next? What do you think's next for Susan Kadilak?
I mean, I think we're gonna, you know, continue growing the real estate team, you know, continue working on expanding Kadilak Homes. We brought in a new cabinet line so that, because I can be very picky and there are certain things that I want, so I found a cabinet line that allows me to do a lot of different custom things that I like to do. So we just started working with that. So we're, you know, looking at what do our clients need and what are different ways that we can bring other things in to help them get where they need to go.
I love it. Susan Kadilak, thank you for joining us. Kadilak Homes, Kadilak Realty.
Thank you.
We wish you continued success. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much, Sonia.
Take care. Folks, thank you so much for joining me. We are looking forward to many more episodes as we come through, and we're grateful for Susan for joining us today. For Back Talk, I'm Sonia Rollins.